You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Hobson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Parenthood After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Parenthood After Show.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others, let others do for you.
I love this intro. Bill loves this intro. He's dancing too. What's up, everybody? We are here doing Parenthood. Welcome back. Season 5, Episode 5. Let's be mad together. Hello, everyone. I'm Marisa Serafini, and with me, I have my lovely co-host. Welcome back,
Thank
Danica.
you. I am so happy to be back. I'm Danica Kennedy.
And I'm Tiona Hobson.
Awesome. Yes, we're all here again. I'm so
Yay!
happy.
Sorry I missed last week.
Oh, no
And the
worries.
week before.
And the week before.
But
I'm
who's
back.
counting? Who's counting? Not really.
But yes, we're finally back, and Parenthood Thursday nights. It just makes me happy. What did you think of this episode? Overall, it seemed like a more serious episode, but it was still enjoyable.
We were talking about how this season in general is a little bit angrier than tearjerker. Do you feel that way?
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Lots of
high
fighting.
tension,
High tension,
and frustrations with each
Frustration.
other.
I was talking to a friend on Twitter earlier today, and I was like, my cry count for Parenthood this season is 0. How is that possible?
I know.
Tonight, Ryan almost got me at the end with his little speech. But other than that, that was the closest I've been to crying this season so far.
Yeah, I felt more bad for Max and Christina near the end of the episode, but we'll get to that. Let's just start with Crosby and Adam. They're at the luncheonette, and Adam, we actually start kind of the episode with Adam says, hey, I got the rights for the 3 All-American Rejects songs in exchange for Crosby's 2-hour sessions in the recording studio. And Crosby's not too happy about that.
Yeah, that's 72 billable hours. That's a lot of money for them to not get, especially at this point with the luncheonette. The status of their business is still new, and 72 billable hours. I mean,
You
I'd
should
be a
have
little upset, too.
confronted him first before doing it, but it worked out in the end, luckily. So I think it was a good move.
Oh, yeah, and the fact that Crosby didn't really believe in Adam, like, I didn't believe you could do it, but he actually pulled it off. Makes me question their business partnership if one doesn't really trust the other or have enough faith in the other to do something.
Yeah,
They make up for it. I mean,
They
that
do.
happened later on with that same topic. Crosby acted like a little baby, stormed out ahead of time,
totally.
and he was being extremely unprofessional. But the next day, when he came back to the recording studio, he made up for it. He brought in all these albums explaining these are amazing artists that didn't have all these fancy things fluffing up their albums, and they were amazing, and you guys are talented, and you don't need it.
Yeah, what do you think of the All-American Rejects coming back? I thought that was cool,
the
and how
ashes of Rome.
they're still being kind of divas in the recording studio.
Yeah, I think it was mostly Oliver. I think that was his name. But
The troublemaker.
the troublemaker. Lead singers of bands are always the divas, especially on TV shows. They're always the one acting out and wanting all these demands. Like, I want it to sound like, what did he say? It was,
Oh, I wrote it down. He was like, I want it Daft Punk, Kanye with a mix of T-Rex. And it's like, oh, okay.
like, what does that even mean? What does that sound like in your mind? Please explain, elaborate. And I could understand Crosby's frustration because he is the music guy. I mean, he's already having issues with this band before they were even, a part of their system. And now he has to deal with it even more. I mean,
He has to be the producer.
Yeah, he has to be the producer. I probably wouldn't have had the best of spirits either working with them.
But you don't storm out like that,
No.
that unprofessional. I need to buy diapers for my baby. It's like, you're the baby. You
Fighting
need a
fighting
diaper
with your
right now.
business partner and your brother in front of your clients. They can actually see that. And we saw the lead singer kind of making fun of them, that they're arguing. That was very unprofessional, especially with your first big client and you're starting a business together or just starting a label. You don't want that bad word getting out with the other bands if they want to sign anyone else.
I kind of feel like Adam started it. Adam could have been the one to say, hey, let's move this here, but Adam started it in the booth, so that's where it kind of had to happen at. So I'm kind of on Team Crosby at this point because he's frustrated with the band. They're not listening to him. They've been recording the same song for 3 weeks, and he's just like, look, it's fine. Like, I have a life, and I'm not going to sit here and listen to this again when we already have it, and he's never going to be happy. I kind of understood. I was Team Crosby on this. I thought he did kind of storm out, but he told them, hey, look, we got it. We're good. He left before he did anything really bad, which is
agreed.
Adam's reaction was really funny. He was just like, 5 minutes.
Take 5.
I was like, oh God, is Adam going to try and like engineer this right now?
No.
Because that would be
didn't
funny.
Happen.
Yeah, and I can see where Crosby's coming from. He's frustrated, but the way he handled it was not professional. You don't storm out just like that. Oh yeah, I actually can leave. Just playing with that. That was.
Adam said, like, basically treated him like a child and said, "You're not allowed to leave here. They're equal partners in this business. You can't tell him." If someone told me I wasn't allowed to do something and I'm a grown adult, I'd be like, "Oh, yes, I can. Watch me as I go."
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and
Ooh,
that's
I'm crossing over the door frame.
This is like, what do you do? You're just like, I'm not
oh,
touching
this
you.
door.
What?
It opens.
So, but then Crosby kind of goes out and talks with Joel a little bit, and we'll get into Joel's storyline. But he has this realization in the car ride. He's listening to music, and then he comes back to the studio, and you mentioned that the lead singer wanted like Daft Punk and T-Rex, but then Crosby comes back with all these old school artists, big name artists, Beatles, Nirvana, and who else? Springsteen. And they said that they made all these amazing records on what was the term? Shoestring budget, like made out of nothing.
It was just the talent, not over.
The talent, the creativity, and that's what they have. The All American Rejects have, and that's what they sold them.
And I think that what Parenthood does so great is taking real life and putting it into there, because a lot of the music that's on the radio right now is overproduced, and it's all theatrics, and it's all this stuff where you think you need the Daft Punk and Kanye West with the Marvin Gaye, melody underneath it, when all you really need is something simple. Sometimes that's all it takes, and they kind of, put a real life situation into this and kind of brought it up.
It's refreshing in this day and age too, because everything on the radio is so overly computerized. It's all auto-tune, special effects. It's kind of nice to hear some real music.
Yeah, I'd like to hear singers' actual voice to see if they can actually sing.
It sounded like they could sing.
Yeah.
I mean, All American Rejects, we know that they can sing.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we got a little
nice
taste
to
of that.
Hear it without all that other crap factoring in, and that's what Crosby wanted. He wanted just a smooth sound. So he's able to he had to step away from the situation, get his composure, and then come back with, in a nice way, lay out, like, this is what we're aiming for. You guys can achieve this, even though you're a butthead. He didn't say butthead.
He's willing to work with them.
He's willing to work with them, and, he is a good singer, so they can make something happen.
Exactly, and I love how, yes, Adam thinks the business side and gets the things done in that way, but then Crosby has the creative aspect to it. So that was nice how they finally just got to the agreement at the end and was like, all right, let's just make music.
Yeah.
So I just want to take a quick minute to thank everyone on iTunes for rating and commenting. We're getting all great comments, and also on YouTube as well. So please go onto iTunes, search AFTERBUZZ TV Parenthood podcast. Rate us 5 stars. We love 5 stars. And then let us know what we're doing good, what we're doing bad, and how we can improve on that. And tell us what you think of these crazy Bravermans. It's like, because they're all amazing, and we love talking about them. So please do that. All right, so let's get into Joel and Julia. They're having some problems lately. These
Very
past few
tense.
episodes.
Yeah.
I think we saw a little bit of a breaking point tonight with their relationship.
At least, yeah.
So Joel, he's working on his big contracting project, and with Pete,
Who's too flirty with him.
a little bit, a little too forward, I think. But Pete's
Yeah.
being kind of a problem maker. She's kind of indecisive, making all these decisions. No, we should change windows here, and just kind of taxing Joel's company and his men because they're overworking, and they're not getting any profit out of it because they're overworking, and no one's paying for all these different adjustments that they're making to the project. And Julia brings up the fact that Pete might be taking advantage of you.
I think there is a little bit of taking advantage going on here. I think we've all, well, not all of us, but there's always situations where, you know, someone kind of tests to see how far they can kind of push you before you break. And I get that Pete is an architect and that it's a work in progress, but you kind of need someone like Julia in your corner who, you know, is the lawyer who's like, look, you need to be billing for this because it's not part of your original plan. Like, your bid is your bid, yes, but
Yeah.
if the architect keeps changing things, then that changes your bid, and so you're gonna have to go back for more money, or else they're gonna lose that awesome house that they live in with their 2 kids. Just saying, they're gonna end up moving back in with Zeke and Camille, which Zeke would love, but Camille would be like, no, I wanted a condo.
Yeah,
Ruining
no.
her life.
Oh, goodness. But so Pete's being all coy and being like, how about we discuss all these boundaries,
Her
air quotes,
vocabulary.
boundaries, over dinner and martinis.
And
Do you think that
it's
was
not clear
professional?
how she said it too. Like,
Yeah.
let's go talk about our boundaries. It's like, do you mean the house? Do you mean us in our
Personal
relationship?
boundaries?
So he keeps dropping, oh, my wife. And then she's like, oh, is your wife saying this? Is
Your wife
she
involved?
running this? Is she involved? And then she even said something weird when they were at dinner about the whole wife situation. She was like, well, the marriage between us and our relationship over the next few years as partners. And then she kept going on. It's like, you don't just drop words like that with your business partner and get drunk with them,
No.
especially if you're not on the clock and getting paid for it.
No, and your marriage. And I thought that was interesting how she threw a marriage in there, being like, well, you're also married to me now. And then I was like, I don't know.
No, it's not
No,
the
that's
same.
shady. That's shady.
I think this early in their relationship, it's a little soon to be calling it a marriage.
Exactly.
Right now, they're kind of dating because, like she said, their businesses are dating. Because, like she said, if this one goes well, then there'll be another one, and then there'll be another one, and like they can continue for years and years. So right now, they're still dating to see if they even like each other and if it's gonna work. So don't call it a marriage yet.
And that was a fancy dinner
Yeah.
date.
That was fancy.
That was way too fancy. I just kept thinking, oh no, someone's going to see them and tell Julia, and she's gonna.
That's what I
flip.
thought was going to happen. I thought someone else in the family was going to run into them.
Because you know,
somehow.
if something happens to one person, everyone knows about it,
Everyone
especially with the
knows.
Bravermans.
But I love drunk Joel.
Oh
It
my
was
goodness.
really funny.
That was so
Crosby
awesome.
runs into him at the grocery store and he's just staring at the cakes, super drunk. And they start talking, and Crosby obviously knows that he's been drinking, but he's like,
Okay.
"How you feeling, buddy? Just how's it going?" And he's like, "I've had a little to drink." Oh, really?
yeah, I'm drunk.
He's never looked at these cakes before. And then he eats just the corner of it drunkenly and leaves it on the counter. So the next morning, Julia's like,
finds out.
so can you explain the cake? And he tries to come up with an excuse, and he's just like, I was drunk. He can't even.
Drunk
cover
Joel
it.
is
Don't
kinda
even
like,
try to lie with Julia. She's a lawyer. She
Yeah,
can
she
call your
knows.
bluff at any moment.
And drunk Joel kind of reminds me of like a high person. Because at first I was like, wasn't he drinking? How did he get stoned all of a sudden? Why is he staring at these
I
cakes?
thought the same thing.
Yeah, my question was like, how did he get to the grocery store? And I was like, did he drive there? And then they said it was
Yeah.
across the street. I was like, okay, good. They're being responsible because I thought that was so out of character to Joel get drunk out in public, not really
Yeah.
caring
He was
about
gonna
himself.
have the cake soak up the alcohol. That's why he needed a cake. You know,
I
the
understand
bread,
that.
the moisture, you know, absorb it. He'd be fine to drive.
What did you guys think of Julia's reaction, though?
Not that we condone drunk
that we
driving
condone
or
drunk
tipsy
driving.
driving for that matter.
Yeah.
Because Joel wanted to drive tipsy. No, That is a definite no.
He could have found a spot in the grocery store. They have those lawn chairs. Could have sat down, taken a quick nap.
The lawn chairs.
Ate his cake and sobered up.
But that was funny how Crosby, the probably the best person to run into to help that situation, be like, all right, yeah, I totally
Give him
got your
ride
back. I'll drive you back. And then they had that realization in the car. And then, yeah, the whole cake. That cake looked good, and they said it was bad. I'm sorry. I was like, oh, that's a wasted cake.
I liked how
It's a
he was
shame.
playing with it the next morning. When
He's,
him
like,
and
looking
Julia
at
were
her.
talking, and he's like, yeah, I was drunk. And then she's asking him how the talk went and everything. He just kind of like picking at it. And I was like, is he going to eat it? Like, does he remember that it tasted bad? Is he going to try it again and be disappointed? Or what's going on here?
Yeah.
What did you guys think of her reaction though when she was like, "I'm not mad. I'm not mad." But when people say they're not mad, they're mad.
Oh,
And you can tell.
Yeah.
You know she's mad, but she's
I hate
trying
when
her
people do that.
Yeah, but she's trying her best to not overstep her boundaries, because in the beginning of the episode, she's kind of inserting herself, and Joel's getting a little peeved already, and then we saw the second time when Julia was trying to step in, then he just got mad and walked out. So I think Julia, just being the good wife and knowing her boundaries in her marriage, she just like stepped away, and she was the adult in that.
I thought she was gonna flip out. I'm proud that she didn't though.
No. But there are some problems brewing.
Yeah, because it seems like they need to have an actual conversation, because each time it's kind of building up, and then Joel, gets to his boiling point, screams something out, and then it's just over. And then you have Julia talking to her dad and just trying to be like, your wife should be heard. We're in this together. We're partners. So, the wife's point matters too. And she should have a say in what things are done, how things are done, and what's said, and all that. So it's clear that she has some things that she should be talking to him about, regardless of how mad he gets. They need to sit down and actually have this conversation before it's too late, because you keep sweeping it under the rug, and one day you have like a mound of emotions, and where does that leave you?
That's why this show
Whole lot
is
of
so
trouble.
real. I feel like it's so close to my family, how it's like, oh, you guys just need to learn how to communicate, and then you'll figure it out.
Right.
But I think every family has that issue, and that's why this show's so relatable.
Yeah, and it's happening to everyone. It's even happening to Camille and Zeke. And
Nice transition.
there you go. Thank you. And so they're still on the rocky side too, because Zeke wants to stay back at home, not go anywhere. Camille wants to sell the house, and we had this realtor person just come over, pop pictures. I was like, is that allowed?
Did Camille invite her over, or did she just show up? Because Zeke
think
said
Camille-
she's back,
Yeah.
and then Camille kind of was cool with it, but the lady never said. She was like, oh, I should have introduced myself, and I don't know, it was just weird how she kind of came into the picture.
But she was there for a purpose, because the realtor said that she just sold a house that was sold for 30% above the asking price, and it was a house not as grandeur as Zeke and Camille's house. So that just laid it out that if Zeke and Camille sold their house, they would make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Enough
Enough money to go travel.
I feel bad for Camille. I'm so on team Camille for this whole situation. Especially lately, I've had this like travel bug where I just want to go out and explore. And you can tell she's just like, oh, I'm so over being here. We've lived here for so long, and yeah, we have amazing memories, but I haven't even been out of the country. She had a great conversation with Julia.
Yeah.
About how she felt. And in that scene, they were baking cookies, and I'm so sad those cookies were never made. They made me extremely hungry.
There was a lot of sweets in this
They were
episode.
going to be
A
really
lot.
big cookies, too. That was a
Yeah,
lot of
she
dough
was
she
like,
was
just, like,
scooping.
fluffing them.
She was scooping those things huge. It's like, ooh.
Well, she probably got used to and conditioned to bake, a whole bunch of cookies for a whole army,
Yeah.
having that family. But besides cookies, I mean, even though they did look good, so Julia was told by Camille that they're having problems. Camille just kind of lets it loose and reveals that little secret that's going on between them. And then Julia tries to tell Zeke about it, because Camille's afraid that she doesn't have a voice in their relationship anymore. What do you think about that? That's kind of sad. They've been together so long. You think Camille and Zeke would be on the same, they would have the same power in a relationship. They'd be on the same ground.
You'd think
But
that,
it doesn't seem that.
I can see, last episode we learned, that Camille didn't get to go see the world. Zeke's already done that with his service, time and everything. So, I mean, they're just at different places, and I think that Zeke will eventually realize that he needs to at least give her a voice, and at least, even if you don't end up doing it, at least going through the motions.
Just listen.
Listen. Just go look at the condo. You don't have to like the condo. You don't have to sign the paperwork that day. Just go look at it.
He's
and that doesn't take
close-minded.
long. Yeah, that doesn't take long. You could go to a condo in a half an hour, 1 hour to check it out. Not even that. Not that I would know. But I'm sure it doesn't take that long to just check out locations just to make Camille happy, feel like she has a say in the relationship. But I think Zeke is just too bold, and he doesn't want to.
He has his foot down hard.
Very stubborn, very stubborn.
When Camille was, kind of venting to Julia about this, in the end of that conversation, she was like, we can't all be perfect like you and Joel, or she said something about that, and she didn't really open up back about her problems, and I kind of wanted her to. I'm like, oh, that would have been such a good heart-to-heart for those characters to vent to each other and get advice on how to handle the situations. But that's kind of how families are. You're not going to tell your mom everything about your problems with your husband coming home drunk with cake. Like, you don't always do that.
No. And then Julia just found out that her parents aren't really great together right now. That the last thing she wants to tell Camille is that, oh, we're having problems too.
Yeah.
So I can understand why she kept her mouth shut on that. But so that didn't turn out too well. I hope they finally resolve this.
Yeah.
I hope Zeke just comes through and just compromises a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't want them to go anywhere before they finish that car, just because
it's helping
Victor so much. He was so excited to come over with his grandpa and work on the car, and he wasn't ready to leave. So I really hope that they at least can finish the car before they have to go anywhere.
I think they will.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, they might have to start working on it a little bit longer after school just to make up for time, but
I don't feel like the Bravermans are going anywhere, because they're going to want to keep them in all the episodes with that set.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
So, and we have more about the set later in our news and gossip, so stay tuned. Victor's finally reading a little bit better. Carburetor, that's a big word.
That is a big word.
For a fourth grader. No, he's a fifth grader.
Fifth grade, yeah.
Yeah, but so the car is good and bad. It's helping Victor read, but it's a dent in Camille and Zeke's relationship. So I think once the car is done, everything will be resolved. Victor can read, and they're happy.
Fix the
and then
car,
they could
fix your
sell
life.
the car,
There you
use
go.
the money to travel,
There you
go on
go.
vacation without selling the home.
Or just
We could
drive
do
the
that.
car around instead of
Road trip.
All right, so let's get into Max and Christina. We see Max, he's going through the halls at his school. I think he's in high school now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
All grown up?
freshman. Yeah, he's getting
Freshman.
older. I was like, wow, he's in high school already. Taking photos for the yearbook with his nice film cam that Hank gave him, just getting candid snapshots of real moments. And then he ends up taking a photo of a girl who's obviously distraught, crying in the hallways, and the girl gets really upset, be like, no, leave me alone. This is very rude of you. And unfortunately for Max, because he's autistic, he doesn't pick up on those social cues, and he doesn't understand social behavior that's not right. It doesn't get across his mind that that's wrong. So what do you think of that? Do you think Max understands the seriousness of taking a photo during those bad moments?
I don't think he understands the seriousness, but this topic really hits home for me, because I went to an arts high school where I went to school with a lot of really artistic and creative people that remind me of Max. They're not the normal people you'd meet all the time. And people would do all sorts of crazy artwork, no matter how offensive or whatever it was, just however they feel. And I think it's good to have a creative outlet, whether it's that cookie cutter, whatever everyone else wants for the yearbook or not. I think he should be in some sort of art club, keep doing it, But yeah, for the yearbook, you don't want your yearbook picture to be of you crying.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, the girl crying was not working up the tears enough for me. Like, her crying was not good enough for Parenthood crying. Like, we do a lot of crying on this show.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So she wasn't working it up for me. Not that Max's picture was bad.
But I think we found out that the girl was upset that the
Her
dog
family
died.
dog had died.
That's
Yeah.
sad. I
That
mean,
is
I can
really
understand if you're crying about a loss of a dog.
Of course.
I get it. I think that Max shouldn't be. I agree that he shouldn't be in a yearbook class just because yearbook isn't going to be the kind of photography that he wants to do, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that could have helped me or for the situation, they did say no, stop taking our picture. So that's
Max
like
kept
cute.
doing
Yeah,
it.
and that's when it went too far, like in this situation, was because they said no. Everyone else he walked up to, was like, oh, we weren't wearing our lip gloss, and he's like, I'm just taking
Yeah.
real pictures. You're walking by, snap a picture. Photographers take pictures of people in moments of grief all the time, and they're some of the greatest pictures that are up in museums and stuff. So I'm not saying that you can't take pictures of strangers, but if someone asks you to stop, then
And
that's
you
when,
kept doing it.
then that's when you kind of have
It's like
to
evil paparazzi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go away.
There's totally paparazzi on
Yeah.
Max's part. So he upsets the girl to the point where she gets her parents involved, tells the teacher and the principal that happened, and they want to move Max to layout on the yearbook, taking no more photos, but moving to the layout part. Which I actually, if you think on the bright side of it, would be actually good for Max. Because, one, he can choose whatever photos you use in the yearbook, because I was on yearbook committee, so I just know how this happens. You can choose whatever photos you want. And because Max is so good with patterns and visualization, layout is like you visually figure out where things are placed in. It would be really good for Max.
Especially since he's already good at photography, he could use that later on also. I think the whole yearbook thing just doesn't really fit with him, though, in general, because yearbook's about, who's popular, who got best hair, the cheerleader pictures, all
So
that
true.
jazz. It's
So
all
true.
like, it's a popularity contest for people to sign your yearbook to have memories later on in life. He's not that kind of guy. I think he needs to be hanging out with Hank, who's also probably autistic like him, that gets him. And they
slightly,
can just create art together, or he can join an art group or club.
I think working with Hank would be great, and maybe having a showcase of his work in Hank's studio would be good for him, because you'd have people who would actually appreciate the artistic elements in his photography,
Or help Hank on his photo shoots.
Yeah.
So he can learn the
Camera
actual production aspect of it. And it was nice to see Hank in this episode too. Even he also kind of agreed with Max, being like, "No, these are great photos. Composition, the lighting, they're all amazing."
Yeah,
And I don't think it went through Hank's mind that was wrong too.
Yeah, and the only one part when we were watching that scene together, Hank did not help out at all with
No.
trying to help
He
ease
was
this
not.
information onto Max and be like, what you did was wrong, and he's like, no, it wasn't.
No, was
No,
it?
come on, you're an adult in
they're
this
the
room.
same.
Yeah, they're the
They really
same
are the same.
person.
He would have done the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was funny and interesting how they threw Hank in. I'm like, Hank, you're not helping.
Yeah, not in the least bit.
I
And
love Hank's
so-
character, though. There's always like that dry person that just says what they think and whatever they think
So
is right to
deadpan about
them.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so Christina, like she always does, tries to get herself involved and speak up for Max, because Max can't really do that for himself. And Christina's like, "Oh no, I'm sorry this all happened." And we actually find out that this happens a lot more often than we think, because they mentioned that Max took photos at a basketball game or at some school game one time, and he was on the court when he was not supposed to. So it makes me wonder how many other times and situations this has happened without our knowledge.
Yeah, because and then when she was talking with the principal, he said, that the only reason it worked with Max being president was because he was in charge, but he had to put out a lot of fires. And Christina's sitting here like, why wasn't I
How
aware
come
of
I
this?
didn't
Why
know?
Yeah.
why didn't anyone say anything? And that's kind of I mean, I understand her point. If people had been telling her this, she's thinking that things are going great and that Max is doing good and adjusting well and this is so great for him. And then you have the principal and the teacher being like, actually, it's not, because boom, 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 when she should have been made aware of all these situations as they were happening.
Do you feel like Christina was a little too intense going back a second time trying to get him on yearbook?
I
Like,
think,
I
don't
think that
you
was so
think,
Christina.
like,
Christina's
her.
so relentless that she'll do anything to help someone who thinks is being treated unfairly.
yeah.
It's very her, but I just when moms get too involved and you're in high school, it's like, oh, you're so annoying. Like,
I
just
can
drop it. Like, you know your kid's weird.
And then she
and
bring
you know
in-
he's going to have issues.
Yeah, and then bringing in the principal, like, oh, well, I already talked to the teacher and he said no, so now you're trying to kind of go around the teacher by
Like, don't you
getting
have
the
a
principal
Go to
campaign
the
to
head
worry
honcho.
about
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah.
other stuff?
I was kind of glad we took a break from the campaign.
Same
this
here. I
week.
was just
I
going to
was
say
like,
the
too
same
much.
thing.
Too much. We're getting back to the family. Love it.
But so Christina has the unfortunate news to tell Max that he's got demoted. He's on layout now, and they have a really sad moment at the end of the episode that they're both mad. I think they're more because Max keeps saying, I'm really mad right now, but we've seen Max act out and lash out in anger. I think Max was more hurt than he was mad.
Yeah.
And they showed that tonight with complete silence.
It
Just
made
sitting
him
there.
more mature, though. He wasn't throwing a huge tantrum, and it made it have more of an effect. It made it a sadder moment because of it.
Yeah, and I think it made the audience realize that this really does happen to anyone. Well, especially Max, because he's autistic. That even though he can't fully grasp the concept of why this is happening, it does happen. As unfortunate and unfair as it is.
I like how Christina was mad with him and sat with him angrily, and then she tried to comfort him.
Yeah, and he's
and he was like, he
No.
just like moved his leg all quick.
Nope.
No, but all the more real. All the more real. So, of course, we can't forget about Sarah and Ryan and Amber tonight. So we get Sarah being the super duper super. I don't know who the heck made her a
Ew.
super. I want to know, like, who thought it was a good idea to have Sarah as a super? I still don't believe it. But her neighbor, Carl,
The lawyer, right?
is he a lawyer?
Wasn't he?
I
a
think
lawyer?
he
I
is.
think-
Yeah, he was
yeah,
a
I
lawyer.
think so.
lawyer.
A sleazy lawyer that sleeps around
Yeah.
and flushes condoms down the toilet.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. So yeah, his toilet's clogged, and Sarah tries that snake thing. Doesn't work. Ends up breaking the toilet, and gets Ryan to help fix it. But then Sarah and Ryan have a really awkward conversation. Sarah thinks that Ryan's there to talk about Amber and where Sarah's stance is. Like she has all these insecurities about Ryan. And Ryan's just there to fix the toilet.
Joel sent him over. What an
Yeah.
awkward moment.
So awkward.
She's like, oh, I didn't know, like, about this, and going on and on about family stuff, and he's like, I'm here for the toilet. Which, by the way, that scene, when it first opened and I saw her holding the snake in front of the toilet, I turned to Tiona and I was like, this is gonna be bad. 'Cause she's so clumsy. You know it's gonna be a scene.
And it was.
All the more better.
I didn't know that there was a snake tool to help unclog. I was like,
We're
isn't that what
obviously not
plungers are
plumbers.
for?
I've heard of, oh, we're gonna have to snake the drain, but I've never seen anyone attempt it, and I know not to do it on a toilet now.
I think we all know.
Not try at home, kids.
I know to just call
Yeah.
the plumber as soon as
It's called the plunger
doesn't-
people.
But they tried the plunger and it didn't work, and
Mm.
so that's where she came in with her snake. And
Yeah, and they find prophylactics in there, condoms. Oh, that was awkward.
mean, I
that was
thought-
even more awkward. And then
yeah.
because Carl is over at Sarah's place using her shower because his bathroom's trash now.
And she's eyeing him.
Well,
she
I'm
gave him like a little.
I think she was kind of checking me out, but trying to pass it off like, no, I'm not into you, but this is awkward because you're
But she kinda
shirtless
is
in my
secretly.
apartment.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, we know that Carl's there to be the new love interest for Sarah.
or at least flirtatorship right now.
Nothing happening yet.
Flirtationship.
Not yet. But I think the relationship's still awkward now, knowing that he flushes condoms down the toilet.
But I mean, is that really awkward when we think about Sarah and her relationships? I mean,
She has some weird
yeah,
relationships.
she's
She has
had
some weird.
yeah, you know, I
but-
think that for Sarah it's normal. For everyone else in the world, it's kind of like, this is awkward knowing this about this guy now.
If
but
he was perfect, it would be weird for
Yeah.
her. Like, why is he with her? She's so clumsy with
why
that
does he throw
snake.
his condoms in the trash can?
I know,
like
it's
normal
called the garbage
people?
people.
I mean, gosh, he
Hiding
does
the
things normal
evidence.
way.
You don't flush it down the toilet. Goodness. But yeah, and so Ryan fixes it, but Ryan's having some troubles with Sarah too because Sarah's questioning it, getting Amber involved, being like, your mother is not really trusting me right now. And then they kind of have a little tryst going
But
on.
one-
We,
a little bit.
they
What-
almost got by without being
Yeah.
too bad.
We were actually very proud of Ryan because he got angry, but he didn't storm out. He didn't throw anything.
No
he didn't crash
wall
a car.
punching.
There's no wall
Yeah.
punches. So he has grown over the past year of their relationship. It's like, okay, this is where they started out where, you know, you get angry, you storm out, you go get drunk, you crash a car. Now it's you stay here, you're angry, you might be silent, but you're angry and then you end up going and confronting and like just opening up.
He's still
Mm.
scary when he's mad, though.
Yeah, I was
It is.
still kind of
Knowing-
like scared for a
knowing what
second.
he's capable of
Yes.
is scary. But Ryan, he was the man, and he went up to Sarah at the end of the episode. Sorry, at the end of the episode, saying, "I didn't have any family like yours. That his father died when he was 11. His mom remarried to an a-hole who
6 months later.
yeah, really fast, and like not the greatest male figure in his life who kind of condoned corporal punishment when he was still mourning. So having that, we finally get a little bit backstory of Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
which makes everything make more sense.
Yeah, I'd still like to meet them, but it was nice hearing about them, at least for the moment.
Sarah kept saying, you don't have to explain, or something like that. Like, you don't need to have an explanation. It's like, yes,
Yes,
you
you-
do. You're
Mhm.
complaining and asking so many questions all the time. He does need to explain it to you, even though he hates talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like he doesn't-
answering questions.
Yeah, it's like he shouldn't have to answer them to her, but because Sarah is Sarah, he does have to explain it to her, and she's like, no, and
She
it's like,
keeps
no,
picking
actually,
at it.
Yeah, she's
I
so
have to
relentless.
because your relationship with your daughter isn't getting any better because you're asking these questions. So here it is, all for you.
Yeah.
All of them are pretty relentless as a family.
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially near the beginning of the episode when Sarah called Joel, and then Joel was like, "What are the boundaries on your sister?" And Julia was like, "Her, you just help." It's like you don't question or set in her, you just help her.
Yeah, and
So
when Julia and Zeke were talking, and Julia starts, going about how, the wife should have a say, and she tells Zeke that Camille told her about the problems, he says that, okay, now you're intruding. I was like, oh, wow. Whoa. Now we're
No.
now we're trying to set boundaries for the family, Zeke, because
All
you
of a
intrude on
sudden.
everyone, and everyone in that family intrudes on everyone else. So you
That whole
can't-
family was
yeah.
brought up that way to know everybody else's business.
Exactly.
That's
so.
nothing new.
It's nothing new. So I was like, why are you saying that she's intruding now? Now you want to set that
It's
boundary?
because he just doesn't want to talk about moving,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
he just is putting his foot down without.
And he turns it on her. Be like, nope. So
Too bad.
yeah. So but Ryan, going back to Ryan, he finally explains himself and his background and his family, but the thing he says was so sweet and sincere. I'm like, all right, Ryan, you can marry Amber. I give you my permission to be a part of this family.
I love that all she said in response to the whole thing was okay.
Lots of okays.
There was so
Okay.
many okays in this episode. I want someone, if you have time, if you're bored,
Drinking
count how
game.
Yeah, drinking game. Every
Uh-huh.
time they say okay, take a drink, because in one scene between Crosby, the singer, and Adam, I'm pretty sure in one scene they said it 15 times.
It's because there's so much tension going on that
Mhm.
people are yelling at each other, and whoever's getting it just has to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like just during the acting, I'm not exactly sure how the production aspects goes, but it feels like a lot of these scenes are just free flowing, and they just go and say whatever does come up on their mind, kind of a little bit of improvisation.
Yeah.
Like that's a normal conversation that's just going on. People are gonna say okay over and over again. So I think that's just the real acting part. But anything else with this episode? Did we cover everything?
I think we did.
I think so.
Awesome. So let's get into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
There we go. So we got I was checking Twitter this whole week from the Parenthood cast, and they had a lot of fun pictures that I'd like to show. If you're listening on iTunes, you should definitely check out our website and also go on YouTube and check out the photos. But we'll post them there. But I just want to read a little bit of some of the tweets that were sent out by the cast. So the first one sent by Dax Shepard. On October 22nd, he tweeted out, "Amazing race weekend in the Lamborghini that the Super Trofeo Series, the 2 second place finishes," and he posts a picture of a car, and I guess he drives. Really, he drives this kind
pretty
of cars
badass.
and races.
I love his hashtags.
Yes.
Hashtag direct brag. Hashtag humblest
Humblest
brag.
brag.
At least he's being honest.
Yeah,
that he's
he's
totally
bragging.
That's it.
gloating right
It's
now.
a pretty sick car too.
That's
so.
really cool. I want to drive one of those.
And then next we have, I love the conversations that they have on Twitter. May Whitman tweets to Lauren Graham, "Guys, Lauren Graham is literally the best actor that has ever walked the earth. That is all." And then Lauren Graham replies back to May, "Dear Shirley, I'm nothing without you. Love, Laverne."
Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, so great. And I just love the two generations that are going on, because May, the way she said it is like so young, and then the way Lauren said it is like so old school. Like, I don't know. I find that really cute. And then third one from Lauren Graham, she posts a picture of May Whitman in like a face mask, obviously posed, reading a Stars magazine, and she tweets, "Stars, they're just like us." So that's funny.
That's
And
funny.
then next we have Sam Jaeger. He tweets, because Parenthood, as we know, shoots on the Universal lot.
There it is,
Yes.
Courthouse Square.
There's the Courthouse Square where they shoot, where they filmed the famous Back to the Future scene. And so Sam posts a picture of him on a makeshift skateboard. Save the clock tower. And then also Sam posted a Twitter picture, another one, which I thought was cool because we saw a little bit of the cast. Working the late shift with Dax Shepard, Real Joy Bryant, and Erica. And the awesome Craig T. Nelson. And it looks like they're in a hotel room or something, just having fun. Late night shifts. That seems like a shift everyone would want to work.
Yeah.
And then we also have awesome set photos from our lovely Danica. So
Yes.
Danica, why don't you talk about them?
So I just love showing kind of behind the scenes stuff, because I don't know how you guys feel at home, but I feel like the Bravermans are my real family,
Oh, totally.
and they live in a real house in Berkeley, California. But that is not the case at all. It is so unbelievably fake, and you can see in the pictures that we have up, there's no ceiling. I mean, most shows there's no ceilings, but they just do such a good job on the show with the set decorating. It looks like an old house that they grew up in. Everything's kind of worn out, and they have so many little details about the characters. Like, all the books would be things that Zeke read. All the art is done by Bonnie Bedelia, because she paints in real life, and she's a painter character on the show as Camille.
That's awesome.
It shows just a little bit about the set and really how fake it is. They can get rid of all the walls. They're all wild walls because there's so many family members that they have to squeeze into the scene. So,
yeah, definitely.
of course, choreographing all of them too with the cameraman. So a lot of the walls can be taken out. And I mean, the lighting's great too. They're having coffee in the kitchen in the morning. It looks like it's 6 a.m. The sun's rising.
How comfy are the couches?
You
Have
know
you
what?
sat on them
Pretty
yet?
comfy. Pretty comfy.
I'd love to check out
They
this
seem
set,
very
so.
lived in. But I just wanted to share some behind the scenes stuff.
That's me,
you.
because
The
you're
movie
eyes
magic.
and ears, on the actual set. And these are photos of Christina and Adam's house, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
not
just
a
the
real
house.
working bathroom.
No.
Oh, too bad.
Darn.
Don't use it.
Darn. No emergency bathroom breaks there.
No.
And Tiona, you have some news too.
Yes, I have some ratings news for everyone. So Parenthood from last week is up week to week by 8%, which is good.
Yay.
Nice.
And by 5% in total viewers. So 8% in the 18 to 49 bracket and 5% in total. It's also up 30% versus NBC's average in this time period last season. So I forget what show they had running on Thursday nights at 10, but clearly the switch to Thursday nights and them going up against Scandal and stuff, ratings are still doing very good. And from its first half hour to its second, Parenthood maintained 100% of its 18 to 49-year-old demographic, which is very hard to do.
That's awesome.
Because most people start tuning into other things that have started, so that's really awesome. Good news on the ratings. Peter Krause was on Access Hollywood Live yesterday, I believe it was. He talked a little bit about his relationship with Lauren Graham and how they've been dating for 4 years. And no one on the cast and crew really knew about it for the first year.
4 years?
They've been together for 4 years.
So
And
almost
like,
the
well,
whole
the-
time.
almost the whole time.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons, I could kind of sense that something was going on between them during the interviews and everything backstage press and whatnot. And so, but they finally came out.
Yeah.
Like, officially.
4 years, and he said that, for the first year, it's a private life situation, so we keep it private. And so they didn't really tell anyone that they were working with. So, I mean, I guess, little sneak here and there at craft services, like a hand graze here.
That makes it more
a subtle
fun.
eye glance. It's kind of exciting and mysterious. I love it.
It's romantic at the craft service.
Yeah. He also talked about how his character Adam is the perfect father and husband. And he started talking about his own father, who passed away 2 years ago. And it seems like his father had some issues that he had to work through. But he says that Adam is kind of devoted to his father because it honors his dad, because his dad wanted to be the best husband and father that he could be to his 3 kids, even though it was a struggle for him daily. So he kind of does this role thinking of his father. You can check out the whole interview on accesshollywoodlive.com. Billy Bush also gives him a very awkward hug at the end of the interview. It's hilarious. And then the last bit of news and gossip I have is from an article from TV Guide, Ask Matt, where Matt Roche answered a fan question about why we haven't seen Hattie this season, and no one has really mentioned her. And so he said that he agrees that Adam and Christina should at least mention her once in a while, especially since Christina's running for office. But one of the reasons we're only going to see her sparingly, if at all, is because of the budget. And few shows that have been on air this long also have a cast this large. So with a cast this big and it's been on for this many seasons, there's renegotiations going on of salaries and budgets and whatnot. So sometimes you have to kind of give and take. So hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of Hattie with the election coming up, but sadly she won't be around for long.
I wonder, is it because her character was the easiest to get rid of because she was going off to college?
Yeah.
So I'm like, why her
That's
out
convenient.
of all of them?
Yeah, I assume that's probably the easiest. I mean, we already don't see Jabbar, as often,
Yeah, but we know Mae Whitman and Sarah Ramos still do hang out together and do videos. And also, another thing to my news, there was a video that just recently got released last week. Mae Whitman was part of the Rachel Antonoff Spring 2004 Ready to Wear music video. Or not music video, sorry. Just a video that it was kind of made in the drunk history kind of format where they're lip syncing a funny story that's going on. But the video consists of a girl and a guy, and they're just recanting the story of how they met and all the crazy friends that are in it. And Mae Whitman is actually in the video. She plays a short college guy in the video. Very quirky humor, and she was also the AD. The first AD on the video too, and it has a few other people in the video too. So and it was promoting the fashion designer Rachel Antonoff Spring collection. Which I didn't realize because every character was wearing the clothes that she designed, but the whole video was based off this story that we're telling. So it was cleverly a way to show off all of her fashion line. So we'll tweet out the link for that to check out Mae Whitman in that video. It's actually really funny.
I have to watch that.
And then, of course, the last bits of news that we cannot forget.
Yay.
Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell are officially married.
So cute.
Yay. They're adorable together. They've been engaged for 3 years now, and they went to the Beverly Hills County Clerk office to pick up a marriage license, and they decided to just get married on the spot.
So casual.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel like that's what Crosby would do in real life.
It's totally a Crosby move.
I feel like he is Crosby
He
in
is.
real life.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, that's so good for them, and they have a child together, and they're all one big happy family.
Yay, congrats.
So that's it for news and gossip. Let's go into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, Danica, we'll go with you first.
All right. So I think that Zeke and Camille are going to have a real conversation about the whole house selling thing. I think that they are not going to sell the house, but Camille is going to get him to go on a fun, adventurous vacation or something exciting.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that. I don't know what to predict, so I'm going to let Marissa talk.
Well, we see Joel and Julia, their relationship's a little bit rocky, and I hate to say this.
Don't say it.
I hate to say this. I think there might be a little bit of a separation going to go on. Even though they just adopted a new child into the family, things are going to get worse before they're going to get better
That's true.
for them. And I think Zeke will finally compromise, or Camille will just like up and leave for a short amount of time and just go travel on her own.
You know what? Go ahead, do it, girl.
Might as well.
You don't need no man to go travel with. Do it on your own.
Do it on her own.
And I think just based off the previews for next week, clearly Sarah and Ryan's talk didn't last long because Sarah's still voicing her opinions all over the place, and things don't look like they're going too well with the wedding planning. So hopefully that was just all a poise to kind of make us think one thing, but hopefully everything will work out and Sarah will be at her daughter's wedding.
I have another Sarah prediction.
All right, go for
I
it.
think she's going to hook up with that guy that's her tenant, and I think that something awkward's going to happen with Hank and her and that guy. Like, he's going to walk in on them, or like they're going to be on a date, and some weird Hank-Sarah moments will be happening again, hopefully. Because
Hopefully.
I want that.
There's yes, there's so many people to talk about in this amazing show. It could go anywhere.
Yeah, and I want to, we talked about this earlier, I want Max to have a photo show, a gallery opening or something at like Hank's with his work displayed. I think that would be good for Max.
All right, so I think that's it for this episode. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Danica Kennedy.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson.
And you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here at AfterBuzz TV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And thank you, Phil, for engineering. We will see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.